Hi everyone, thanks for visiting my channel Crocheting Around My Kitchen Table. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you know when I upload a new video tutorial. This video tutorial comes from my friend, Miss BettyAnn Reed from Tennessee. She calls it the Pretty Pouch Pattern. The materials you will be needing for this video tutorial is 100% cotton yarn, it's 4-ply. I'm using Crafter's Secret in Ocean Stripe. You will need a D-hook or C-hook. I've chosen a D-hook. You will need a needle for weaving in the tails, scissors, and you will need a stitch marker. We're going to be working in a continuous round, and it really helps keeping track of where the rows start and stop. Optional, according to the pattern, and I do think it is optional, but I think you can do both because it is a two-sided pouch. I don't have embellishment over here, but it's on one side, so I think it could be your choice to put it on there. You don't have to put it on there. We'll be putting it on there while I crochet. You certainly can put it on afterwards. And a keychain recommendation is to put it somewhere in the middle. But honestly, I think it's just as cute as can be, just as it is. Let's get started. Before we begin, I wanted to read a note that is in her pattern for your information purposes. This pouch is worked in continuous rounds using the half double crochet cluster stitch. You can use any thread or accessories or embellishments. If you use a smaller hook size, it'll give you a more compact and defined result, which I do believe, because the smaller you get, these stitches just really pop and get defined. For a larger pouch, you can increase the starting chain by even numbers and adding more rounds. So let's say you start out with 14, which is what we're going to start out with. If you want a bigger pouch, you'd go to 16. Only because of the way the stitch, I guess, was worked, because it does use 2 stitches to make 1 stitch, the cluster. Let's get started. We're going to start out by making a slip knot, and it says to leave a long tail because we're going to weave this in into the first row, or second row, if you will. So I've made my slip knot. Let's try that again. Make sure I leave a good piece for the long tail. It's just how I make my slip knot. And to begin, you're going to need to chain 14. And the chain is just a simple yarn over, pull through. I have 2. I will meet you back when I have 14. I have made all 14 chains. It says to begin, we need to place 2 half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. That's 1 and 2. It's a yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over through all 3 of those loops. And we're going to do that one more time in the same place. In the next instruction, it says to place 1 half double crochet into the next 11 stitches. So that starts with just 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, and continue on for 10 more, and I will meet you back here. I have made all 11 stitches, and we have 1 chain left. In the last chain, we're going to place 3 half double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. We are now going to work on this other side of the foundation chain. So on this end of the chain, or this side of the chain, we're going to tuck in the tail and crochet over it. We will make, in that very first stitch, you'll see it with that first half double crochet by itself. You'll just continue to make 1 half double crochet in each of the chains down to the end while tucking in the tail. Just like that. I've done 2, and I will continue the rest of my half double crochet, single half double crochets, right before we reach the very end where we started. And I'll meet you back here. I have made all 11 single 1 half double crochets, or rather 11 1 half double crochets on this side, and I've reached the end where there is 1 chain left, and the 2 from the very beginning are sitting in the same or sharing the same space. So we're going to finish that by placing 1 half double crochet into the same space as those 2 half double crochet we started off with in round 1. And then we're going to slip stitch and close the round out in that first half double. There's 1, there's 2 in that first half double. You see that V stitch. We're going to slip stitch and end round 1. So let's recap. We have 2 half double crochets in the second chain from the hook, 11 1 half double crochets, 3 half double crochets on the end, 11 on the other side of the chain, and then we finished the last chain with 1 half double crochet and slip stitched it to the first half double crochet we created in round 1. So as you can see here, the tail went right along the back end, tucked right into all the stitching here. And now I'm just going to trim it, making sure I don't cut the working yarn. And we will continue with round 2. Okay, so we're beginning round 2. And here we are at that slip stitch into that first half double crochet. So we need to find the next half double crochet, and you can see it by that B. Yarn over, insert your hook into the top of that V stitch, and bring up a loop. You have now 3 loops. I'm going to yarn over, skip the next stitch right there, and go into this one. You can see I've been practicing. And then yarn over, pull through. You have 5 loops now, essentially 2 half double crochets. And we're going to close that by yarning over and pulling through all 5 of those stitches and chaining 1. So it's 2 half double crochets, and you can see that skip stitch right in the middle. I'm going to pull out my loop here because I want to put my stitch marker. It will be very helpful to determine where the rounds end and begin, because it's going to be a continuous loop. There will be no slip stitches to be able to see that. So this is the top of that chain 1 we made. I'm going to put it into the next V that you see here, but it's a space that we've created between the slip stitch and the half double crochet cluster. So I'm going to place my slip stitch right in there. Now we're going to continue on with the half double crochet clusters. So you see where we ended, or actually made, that second half double crochet. We're going to insert our hook with a yarn over into that same, like we were beginning a half double crochet. You can see the other 2 pieces of yarn from that half double crochet. So we're going to share the same space. Going to begin that half double crochet, going to yarn over, you're going to skip the next stitch, and the following stitch you're going to insert your hook, yarn over, pull through for that second half double crochet, and then we're going to close it all off by bringing a yarn over through all 5. And you have 2 half double crochets in there, and chain 1 to close it off. We'll see that again. In the same space where you just made that second half double crochet for that cluster, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, skip, insert your hook, yarn over, pull a loop. You have 5, yarn over and pull through all 5, chain 1. One more time, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops, yarn over, skip, insert, yarn over, pull through, 5 loops, yarn over, pull through all 5, and chain 1. I'm going to show you how to count them because you will need 14 half double crochet by the time you reach here. We're going to make 13 and then I'll come back and show you how to make that 14th cluster. But the way you count them is you can see here, right there, that is 1 cluster. You can see where there's 2 half double crochets, that's a 2nd cluster. You can see where they join at the top, and this is the 3rd and this is the 4th. You can tell by the horizontal lines right here. And that's how you'll count them. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll make 9 more, and then I'll come back here so we can complete that 14th at the end of row 2. So here I am at the 13th cluster, and we're going to complete our 14th cluster for the round. You'll notice there's no stitch, but we're going to use the stitch marker, the space, to complete our 14th cluster for the round. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, insert where that stitch marker is, yarn over, pull through, yarn over through all 5 of those stitches, and chain 1 to complete. And that ends round 2. Round 3. We're going to begin our round 3 by making a cluster, and I'm going to yarn over, insert it next to that stitch marker. I like to move the stitch marker after I complete my first stitches in my rounds. I'm going to yarn over again, and we're going to go into the space that was created in round 2 for the first 2 clusters. So right into that space, you see it there, there's a chain 1 and then there's a space. Not into this space right here, not into that V-stitch, but into the actual space. And you'll see it. We went around it. Yarn over and pull through all 5 of these stitches and chain 1. Okay, I'm going to pull my hook out because now I'm going to move my stitch marker, so it helps me keep count of the rounds and my clusters. I'm going to place it not in that chain 1 but in the space created, so it's easier for me to complete my 14th cluster. Okay, yarn over, insert into that last same space we used, yarn over, pull through, yarn over into the next space. We're no longer skipping, we're going right into that next space, pulling through, yarn over, pull through all 5 of those loops. Sorry, that got out of focus. Chain 1. You're going to repeat that. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, insert, pull through, and then go through all 5 and chain 1. It'll start looking like these little beautiful half double crochet clusters. You'll make 14, and I'll meet you back here at the end. I've made my 13th cluster. I'm going to finish the round by making the 14th cluster using that stitch marker as guide to the first cluster that we made. I'm going to chain 1, and that ends round 3. I'm going to begin round 4 by yarning over, inserting into the space of the stitch marker, yarning and inserting my hook, yarning over, bringing through. I have all 5, And I'm going to go through all 5 loops and chain 1. You will be moving your stitch marker after every round, so it's easier for you to spot and count your clusters. You will repeat round 3 through round 4 and 9. So we have made 3 rounds, and this pouch is a total of 9 rounds. So you will do 6 more rounds. I will be placing my chosen embellishment in the middle, and I will sew it in because it's a button. But optional, again, is the embellishment because I think the pouch itself is very lovely. Continuing on with round 4, I've made 1 cluster, 2 clusters. In the 3rd cluster, I'm going to place my chosen embellishment. It is a button with a horizontal shank. So I'm going to place it on the last vertical loop of that center stitch between the 3rd and the 4th one. Got to make sure these aren't going to fall off there. So you see how this is horizontal. I just usually add these embellishments as I'm crocheting, and then I go back when the project is done to add some glue so they don't wiggle, and it adds more security. Then I just place the loop, I bring it through the button, and I put the loop back on the hook. I tighten this down a little bit, and then I'm going to finish the cluster just like that and chain 1. I'm going to follow the pattern and continue my clusters. And that's how I add my button embellishment. I will meet you back at the end of the 9th round. I have made my 14th stitch for the 9th round to complete the pouch. And now we're just going to take this stitch marker out, and we're going to slip stitch that into the pouch here. We're going to slip stitch that into the cluster here, and I'm going to slip stitch that into this one right here. There's a little space there. I'm going to take that and just slip stitch that. I'm going to cut my yarn. I was going to go on and place and continue on because I like this lime green and make an extra row, but I've decided that I want this lime green to be part of the drawstring. So I'm just going to pull that through. Normally I chain 1 and pull it through, but I'm going to make a little bit of an invisible stitch using this just pull through. After that slip stitch, I just pulled the loop through, and it's anchored in place. I just usually like to do the chain 1 and close that off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to thread the yarn and push it through the next stitch to the left of where I closed it off, just like that. Then I'm going to turn this inside. This is an invisible close. And then I'm just going to weave this in back here. Catch that. There we go. I want it to look strange. Just like that. It looks like a little loop there. I've woven in the tail. As you can see, that invisible ending really does make these rounds where there is a step up when you're completing them. It looks a little off, but when you make that invisible stitch, that invisible close, it works really well. You can really just make it look seamless. We are now going to set aside our pouch to make our 2 drawstrings. The pattern recommends a contrasting color, which is why I decided to continue with the lime green. I think it'll look really pretty as a drawstring. An added note is, according to Miss Betty Ann, you can combine the cotton yarn, add a number 10 thread to create a twist effect, which I think is very dramatic and very pretty as well. For this video tutorial purpose and the fact that I don't have number 10 thread, we're just going to use my yarn. You certainly can use whatever you like. And I'm just going to make a simple slip knot. And I'm going to chain 40. I will meet you back when I've made all of my chains. I have completed all of my chain 40. And all I'm going to do is cut a piece. And like I said, leave a good piece so you can make your knots. And then I just pull that through. I've threaded the tail of our chain 40 onto my needle, and the recommendation for the pattern is to place the drawstring between the 7th and the 8th round. I'm going to open this up so I make sure I don't catch the back side, and it is recommended not to catch any of the threads because then it will distort the stitch and all your beautiful work. And you're going to just weave in and out of this space, making sure not to catch any of those. And I can feel it back here if it is. And then you're just going to slide that through. Try to keep it with the chain facing out this way, just like that. So it looks pretty and neat. And that's what you'll do all the way around to where they meet. Just like that. I have finished placing my first drawstring, and now it is recommended to make a triple knot. I'll just do one so you don't watch me boringly do my version of that. Take both of them, grab them, and I like to push rather than pull close to both of these pieces. Just like that. Push the knot closest to the finishes or the ends. And then I like to just pull them apart to make sure that stays in place. And you're going to do that 2 more times. I have made my triple knots, so now I'm just going to trim close to it. And later on, after I make my second drawstring, I'm going to put a little bit of glue at the end of this one right here, the end one here, so it doesn't unravel or come undone. I have made my second chain 40. This time I will be going in the opposite direction that I started from this side to make this drawstring and pull it through. I will go into the opposite side, being very careful not to catch now the drawstring or the pouch itself, weaving in and out of the spaces. And now I'm going to do just 2 at a time, just to make sure. And also keeping this pretty braid facing out. And you will do the same what you did to the first one to the second one, including the triple knot. I have finished placing my second drawstring, and now we can just pull it. So you see that now that the sunglasses or my embellishment is right in the middle of the body of the pouch. Is that not cute? I just love it. There's so many useful purposes for pouches like these. Coins, keys, little treasured memories you can place in here and remember a summer that you went to the beach or went on vacation with your family. And this is just absolutely adorable. I made one earlier with a lighthouse. I just love this. It's so pretty. I decided to use the white and the gray to make it look like clouds, and this is like the sea. I don't know, I'm just weird that way. And then, of course, my nod to the fall. Thank you, Miss BettyAnn Reed, for letting me make a video tutorial of your beautiful, pretty pouch pattern. Thanks again, everyone, for visiting my channel, Crocheting Around My Kitchen Table. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so that you know when I upload a new video tutorial. Thanks again for watching.